the appropriate data structure. Now you see here, now they are taking one local variable, test config. So this test config is a class, okay, and you are making that thing local here. Now you are passing the whole object as an input argument to this, and you are assigning the value of the config to this config. So in this way, what you are doing, whatever configuration you are passing through the test case, okay, same configuration you are going to use here. So you see here, whatever configuration you are passing from test case to the DUT, same configuration you are taking inside the scoreboard also. Coming to the next point, the self-checking structure shall be instantiated in a public class property of the verification environment. Now what they are trying to say is, we are having many components in a verification environment, okay, so we should keep one mechanism, okay, so that we can access each and every corner of the verification environment, whether that is self-checking structure or register stimulus or check response. All we should able to access with the help through verification environment. So what they are trying to say is, the instance of a self-checking structure will globally visible and accessible whenever the environment is visible. So when you are instantiating this self-structure class, okay, you can say that self-checking class, in that case this class component should be visible throughout the verification environment, okay. Coming to the next point, that is called as scoreboarding, okay. So we are having new technique called scoreboarding. So the data structure that hold the expected response shall be designed to minimize the lookup operation. So they are trying to say, like, if we already know the expected response, like whenever we are verifying any DUT, okay, so when we know the functionality of the DUT, we should know if we are passing this sort of data, what sort of output we will get. So if we are passing the expected response with the help of with test case itself, then we are almost making our test bench self-checking, because it may be difficult to predict the exact order in which the output will observe. So it is like unlikely that single variable or a queue will sufficient to implement the data structure. So they are trying to say is, like, if you are passing a output, if you are giving an input, okay, you know what type of output you are going to give, you're going to get, but you don't know at what order you are going to get, or if the data is too much, if the data is like you can say that bulk data is there, in that case you have to store the data in a queue. In a queue means you have to use some data structure like first in first out in order to store the data. So at any given time there may be several possible valid responses from the design, depending on the implementation details and internal resources usage. So what they are trying to say is, whenever in between the simulation at any time, okay, your DUT may give you a lot of valid responses, okay, so that depend upon the implementation, how they have implemented that DUT. So we have to observe all the interfaces, okay, multiple interfaces we need to observe concurrently in order to get the right result, or in order to get the unpredictable result. Now what they are trying to say is, a queue should use to store in order response. So queue means it is a FIFO, okay, so you can say that it is a dynamic array. So queue is used to store in order response, okay. Suppose you want two transactors are there, okay. Now you want to pass one control information to from one transactor to another transactor, okay, so that you need to pass in order, okay. So if the second transactor which is going to receive that control information is busy, in that case we have to keep the that transaction in a queue. So which data structure we are going to use, that is first in first out,